how you evaluate the intangible value?
Intangible value?
Intangible, sorry. Apologize for my Hebrew.
Oh, most of the business value is intangible.
So how you
Most of it.
evaluate? Because everybody think it's millions, but actually it's what's the actual price? How you like starting the negotiation, let's say?
Yeah, so that's where it gets. So business valuation is part art, part science. And what you have to do is learn how to value a business. I don't know, in Israel, what your tax returns are like. And so I know that in the US, though, typically in terms of valuing a business, we start with the tax returns and with the taxable income, which we know has all been designed to mitigate the taxes, right? We want to, most business owners want to pay the least amount in taxes that they can. So there's often a lot of discretionary expenses that are run through the business. And that's where, you start with that taxable income number, and then you start adding back expenses that were not really necessary for the successful operation of the business. Maybe they were more discretionary, like, the kids' college tuition,
Yeah,
and
private expense.
the beach house, and repairs to the mountain cabin, and the boat slip, and whatever else they're running through the business that is not really part of the business operations, right? So that number, that taxable income number, keeps growing and growing and growing. And then at some point you apply a multiple, and that multiple is, again, it's going to vary. And that's where it becomes kind of an art, because a business that has earnings of, let's say, by the time you add all those expenses, you get to a number that we call SDE, seller's discretionary earnings. So if the SDE is $50,000, your multiple is typically going to be like 1 to 1.5 times that. And that's what your business value is going to sell for. If that earnings is up at, 200,000, well, that's typically going to be maybe a 2 to 2.5 times.
Earnings per year or per month? Earning per year or per month?
Annual.
Annual, okay.
Yeah, annual. And then, as that SDE number grows, your multiple also increases. A business that has SDE of 800,000 is probably going to sell for 3 to 4 times that, maybe 4.5 times. And then you also have to look at what working capital is included in the mix. Is the accounts receivable included? Does it have a lot of inventory? Is the inventory included? Sometimes that gets added on top.
But this is already tangible value, so it's easier.
Right. So the inventory and the accounts receivable are tangible, yeah, and you can see that on the balance sheet. But the intangible part is that SDE and that multiplier. Okay, and that's all considered. A lot of that just gets allocated to goodwill.
Yeah, usually what I know from my 15 years experience in businesses, it's usually on the high risk businesses, they want to calculate the return on investment in 2 years. Yeah. But if it's more stable and more bigger brands, they can go willing to go to 5 years. But this is what I'm like maximum what I hear. And inside the intangible, it's like brand recognition, marketing, what you did, like business did, and what is your know-how, like special. I'm not talking about patents and stuff like this, but I'm talking about something difficult to evaluate.
Right.
So this was my biggest issue when I go to conversation, how much my business cost.
Well, let's put it this way. Let's say the business value is $1 million. Right?
I'm sorry, but I like when they say, I already stay in this business 30 years. How I evaluate your 30 years here.
Yeah. So if the business, let's say the business sells for $1 million and it had, 100,000 in accounts receivable. It had 50,000 in inventory. So your 850 is really goodwill. That's all kind of intangible.
This
When
is
you get to that selling price of $1 million is through that other process of calculating your seller's discretionary earnings and then applying some multiple to it. And that multiple can also vary depending on the level of SDE, but also depending on the industry. You can look at, like I know here, medical or manufacturing of medical devices will go for a higher multiple than manufacturing like industrial, manufacturing auto parts or something, right? So your medical device manufacturing just has a higher multiple because of the industry.
Because of RD department.
Not really, but just, just a different industry sector. So there are databases out there, BizComps, DealStats, where you can subscribe to those databases and you can look up business sales and see, what the businesses have sold for. It's just that it's really hard, looking for comparables in business is very difficult because every business is unique.
Okay, so if you're talking about uniqueness, one of issue when I was talking about this, it's the buyer, he calculate how if he do it by himself, so it will take to him like X amount of time, and if he buy, so how as a broker I convince him to buy ready business opposite to create new one. So what are the SWOT analysis? I don't know.
Well, in terms of business startups, take a lot of investment. I mean, some do, and they take a lot of investment, but usually it's a different mindset. Somebody who wants to start a business typically has a different mindset from the person who wants to buy an existing business and expand it. So buyers of existing businesses want cash flow from day one. They want that income to be there from day one. Whereas somebody who's willing to do a startup, they know they're not going to make any money for a while. They're not going to have income from day one. They know they're going to have to create the systems. They're going to have to create, procedures. They're going to have to go find employees to hire. They're going to have to do whatever it takes to put that business together step by step. So an existing business already has procedures in place, already has employees that are trained, that know what they're doing, already has income, already has a client base, already has suppliers in place. So a lot of that has already been done. If the seller has had it for a number of years, it's established, it has a reputation, hopefully a good reputation. It may be well known in the community or not. So there's just a lot of benefits to buying a business versus starting one.
Okay. So what you're saying, like the buying ready running business, it's people who are looking for assets, and someone who want to create business is more emotional, want to create something like business, and I want to create myself, I want to build it. And the other part of the buyers, they just tell me the numbers, I want to come and buy these assets, and I want to operate or run it like smoothly without any questions, like different mindset. Okay.
Yeah, thank you it's a different mindset. And so then, they can take what's there and grow it to make it better, as opposed to having to start it from scratch.
Yeah. When I also was considering when you're purchasing the business, so the risk of success was the parameter like for a consideration to buy, not to buy, because like you can, in my experience, I have different businesses. So even you have professional, and I have 14 retail shops, even I know everything, like 100%, you still open in some location and this location fail. So in that time I understand, okay, so the risk for the success in different location with everything, sometimes it's not worth to go, and better to buy something already operating in some location with, let's say, 1 year run already.
Yep.
So yeah, this is also one of the consideration.